We just got the trailer for the latest main set of Pokemon TCG Pocket, and with it, a card I believe will eventually warp the meta of Pokemon Pocket in Rare Candy. Hello YouTube, for those who do not know, I'm one of the best Pocket players, peaking number 2 on Ranked this month, and in Shining Revelry alone, my placements in the biggest tournament series, the Yesterday series, has been 2nd, 5th, and 9th respectively, and boy, am I excited for this card. I'm honestly just excited for new cards. I've played way too many games in Shining Revelry, and I'm going kind of insane, but I'm excited to talk about this card, its impact on Pocket moving forward, every card made stronger by it, and even some deck recipes that you may try the moment the set drops. So if you don't know what Rare Candy does, it allows you to choose a basic Pokemon in play. If you have a stage 2 in your hand, you basically overlay it on top, skipping stage 1 entirely. Its only restriction is that you can't use it on your first turn or on a basic Pokemon that was put into play this turn, which is not a real restriction. That's just the restriction put on evolving Pokemon, period. And in a game where basic EXs like Darkrai Garantina dominate due to consistency of having to not worry about finding all the pieces, Evolution finally got one of their biggest consistency pieces. In a game where basic EXs like Darkrai and Garantina dominate due to not having to find extra consistency pieces, Evolution finally got one of their biggest pieces. And you might be looking at this card and being like, but Jeudy, you can it's still 3 cards. It's the same thing as running a basic stage 1 and stage 2. To which you're right, but also wrong. And let me explain it why. Because going from stage 1 to stage 2, or basic to stage 2, you can now also attack with that stage 2, right? No longer having to wait that extra turn. And this is huge for a lot of cards. Let me paint a picture. You know Sprigatito? Sprigatito has Cry for Help. When you cry for help, you draw a potential Meowscarada, you have Rare Candy in hand. That second turn, you can now attack with Meowscarada, whereas before, you get to Sprigatito, into Floragato, into Meowscarada. That is an insane consistency buff for every attacker that has 2 energy or less. And of course, for cards like Charizard and Blastoise that are 4 energy, 3 energy plus attackers, it's just an extra consistency card, right? You're playing Charizard, how many times have you evolved into Charmeleon while doing Moltres, and then they Sabrina you, and now you have a 2 retreat cost Pokemon. Now you can stay Charmander. As the game goes on, you eventually draw that Charmeleon or the Rare Candy. You can Rare Candy immediately go into Charizard, right? That is so huge. And it adds consistency with Pokemon communication, right? That same Charizard deck, you can now drop a Charmeleon. You have 7 Pokemon as opposed to 8. Now when you're Pokemon communicating, you are more likely to grab that Zard, that final piece, while still having like 2 Rare Candies in your deck, which is essentially 3 Charmeleons as opposed to 2. So really, really, really cool stuff. And now, even if this is still not all impressive, think about the implication for the future of the game. Generally, when stage 2s are announced in Pokemon Pocket, a lot of people's reaction are, oh, this is cool, but it's going to be inconsistent because it's a stage 2. But now, it's cool, and it should be rated properly. Anytime a stage 2 Pokemon is announced in a trailer or shown, I am like, now you can realistically get to it more times than not because of Rare Candy, and that is crazy for the future of this game. They ever released a broken 1 energy or 2 energy stage 2, I'm already going to be freaking out on camera. So super excited about that. Here I've gathered some of the stage 2s. We're going to talk about the big winners, some of the losers, and some more thoughts I have, especially regarding the future of the game. If a stage 2 isn't listed here, I probably don't think it's good. So like, I'm sorry, but there are some here I don't think are too good, but we'll talk about because I think they do warrant discussion. Starting off with Beedrill, who I think is the biggest winner. Crushing Spear for 80. Getting this online by turn 2 is crazy, right? One of the things that is its problem is the really strong ability, right? Discard a random energy, but you get it by the time your opponent's already set up. If your opponent is charging like an active Darkrai, an active Garantina, like any mon that requires like 3 or more energy, they might never get set up because of a Pokemon like Beedrill EX, right? You have the Rare Candy, you bring it in, you attack, and you just lock the opponent. You have grunts, right? The deck previously had to rely on grunt to do this. You no longer have to rely on grunt. You can just get this Beedrill active ready, and you just kind of farm the active. Like, this changes how Darkrai Garantina players will have to play you, because they can no longer just freely charge that front Pokemon. The next one, I talked about it already, Meowscarada, right? Being able to run Sprigatito and cry for help, and then evolving straight into it is so much pressure. So much pressure. That's scary. I'm worried. I think grass is going to be a problem. Meowscarada Beedrill has got just that much better because of Rare Candy. Infernape. Infernape is another Pokemon who, you know, was good, was fine, but is just kind of too slow. And now is like, not only is it still good, is it still fine, but it can be active and can hit that first 140 ASAP, as opposed to having to really slow play it. Really good Pokemon. Gallade. Some people have actually gotten a question about Gallade, like, isn't this like anti-synergy? Don't you want to wait until people have energy? No, because one of Gallade's problems is that you take so long that you're able to like set up a board position where Gallade is useless. Now Gallade can come on the board as early and as before a Darkrai attack, a Garantina attack, right? I'm keep bringing up these guys because they're the best cards right now, and you just attack for 70, right? You attack for 90 because they're gonna have energy attached, and you're automatically putting pressure, and this allows you to also build up another Gallade in the back. These scary guys, Rampardos. Yes, for those of you, I'm gonna read this in comments. Are fossils, yada yada yada, are fossils counted because they're fossils? Well, guess what? Not only does it say that it's a 40 HP basic Pokemon, which if we go to Rare Candy, it says basic Pokemon in play. This is a card where if it's in play, it's a basic Pokemon. All stage 2 fossils work with this. Rampardos just got a huge consistency buff. Imagine, like, you guys are all, Rampardos players, they always beat me on Carve, they always put the Cranidos into the Rampardos. Yeah, well, guess what? Now they can do that a turn earlier, so good luck. Garchomp. Garchomp is a pawn I feel I should mention. I originally slept on it because it's like main attack is 100 off the back, but now it's dealing 50 by, again, that turn 2, that turn 3, right? It's so scary. Being able to deal that 50 anywhere, it's a Magikarp killer, it's a Manaphy killer, right? Gyarados decks now have to actually worry, and that's just a consistency card, right? The reason why this card wasn't being played, even though it can be strong, is because it's a stage 2, and most stage 2s are not worth being played. And of course, the big guy, Charizard EX, the newest one in Shining Revelry, who we've kind of clowned on, can now stoke itself, right? Its problem was that it didn't have a good partner. Rare Candy makes it so that you can, I've even seen people on Twitter go, you can play 14 trainers Charizard. And that's real. You can play 14 trainers, or it was like 16 trainers, and they skipped the Charmeleon, so I think it's troll. But you know what I mean. You can do like 15, 16 trainer stuff, and you'll be able to just deal consistent 150s by turn 3, which is like really, really big. A lot of damage. People are like, oh, but like Garantina can live it with Cape. That's what reds are for. Use reds. Broken card, especially can see it now, whereas this card had like no utility before, will finally be playable. So if you pulled a Shining Charizard, pat yourself on the back and said, I pull a Shining Charizard, down below in the comment section, and I will be sad because I have not pulled a Shining Charizard. Here we have Charizard EX. So you're going to be like, what, this card, right? Charizard EX and Blastoise are kind of in the same boat, where they need way more energy than just 3, right? What this does is increase, and we're going to show, when I show you some decks, it increases the deck's consistency. I already talked about the Pokemon communication, I already talked about the Charmeleon, but Rare Candies are essentially extra Charmeleons, right? And you're no longer locked in active. If you have to bring in a, like, Charmeleon, you no longer have to, like, it's just, the deck got so much better. I've already talked about it. I've yapped about it. This is hype. Garchomp, on the other hand, I think that this card is still cool. It's viable, finally. Took its time. I think it's more cool for its ability, because because you can technically like rare candy. Obviously you will be playing a Cynthia deck, but like that's cool that this card finally got a buff. I don't know if it's enough for this one because it's a water fighting, but maybe hey, next set they'll like have a dragon supporter that fixes energy, because if they do, amazing card. So this is the biggest one. I've seen so many comments already about Gengar EX and its ability to active block, and then like obviously with the new Lunala and the new like you can basically Garantina, you can like kind of like do like a cool energy block. I think it's cute. My honest thoughts though is that its ability being an active spot locker makes it so much worse, right? It's a 3 energy attacker. 100 damage isn't the best, but it's 100 damage and you're like already taking a lot of chip, a lot of pings by being in the front. And like it's like okay. In fact, I would go as far to say that the Gengar regular is better, right? You use Bother, it's a 50, it's a 1 energy attacker, right? 2 energy or below are so strong, and it does the same thing, and you can just like get to like a Gardevoir and you can charge up something else like a Mewtwo in the back, and I think that is a lot better than what we are being presented. So I do apologize, I do not believe in Gengar yet. If it was a stage 1, maybe I would have believed in it. If it didn't have the active spot ability, I would believe in it, because then any deck could run this, right? People would be running this card without Psychic Energy. Unfortunately, it is not its time yet. Some other utility guys are Dusknoir. I don't think it's Dusknoir's time yet, but Dusknoir's problem was that you originally had to run it, right, as a stage 2. You had to draw 6 cards. It's still going to be 6 cards, but if you're running another stage 2 alongside it, like Lunala, etc., it's kind of cool because you can like remove energy, right? Remove damage counters from that Lunala. You can also charge this to attack. I think that this card's utility is really, really, really cool, and I hope that we get to like, you know, see a Pocket metagame where this is one day played, because this card is so swag. Gardevoir is one of the biggest winners. Amazing. So good. Like this might be better than Lunala on just like what it does, right? Being able to charge energy and you rare candy can make it, you can get to Gardevoir so much quicker. This is such a broken card. Like it was a broken card in Genetic Apex. It just got outpaced. It's too slow. Guess what? We have the card that says you're no longer too slow. So I am so excited for Gardevoir and what this means for future Psychic decks moving forward. Psychic Box is going to be so cool to play. There's so many cool Psychic cards, whether you're playing Lunala, Gardevoir, Garantina, Mewtwo. Super excited. In unrelated, probably bad news for some people, Superior is another card that is going to be really strong. Unfortunately, the problem with Superior is it doesn't really have great cards it's supporting, right? Like the best multi-energy attacker is the Executor from Mythical Islands, but what this also means is that you are now on curve with your Celebi. So if you attach 2 energy onto your Celebi, even if you're going first or going second, you can now flip 4 coins. That might mean Celebi is back. That might be like that might have triggered someone. I'm Celebi's favorite strongest warrior. I have a tattoo of Celebi on me, so you already know that I'm like low-key kind of happy. Crobat is interesting. Crobat, you know, again, a problem is that it is hard to get to, but with Arceus dealing that consistent 30 sounds baller. I can see it being paired even with Arceus, like Greninja Crobat, right? That would be kind of crazy. Speaking of Greninja, Greninja is a Pokemon that people were already using for its ability, right? Like I think the future of Pocket, I would love to see people just tech Pokemon for their abilities, right? Something like Dusknoir, something like, you know, Superior. So I think that Greninja fits that, and Greninja was easily the best of this archetype. And why? Because of that 20 damage anywhere. It just added up, and now it's even more consistent. Tournament players are going to rejoice. A lot of tournament players love like their Jeudy, Greninja, Garantina, Darkrai deck style. This just got better. And we have Pidgeot, right? Pidgeot is a once per turn. It's basically Sabrina. You get to Sabrina every turn. It's very similar in the same vein of like universal support. like maybe there will be a deck that kind of wants to do that, and I think that's just like kind of cool to have that option, right? As opposed to running like Sabrina Cyrus, you have the Pidgeot line instead. It is a little bit more cards, right? It's like full combo, but it is an option, and also it can attack for 70, so like you can still attack with it. It is a 2 energy attacker, so it's one of the bigger winners, and just gives a lot of pressure. I also am now looking at it and realize it's grabbing a Magikarp. You can pull in a Magikarp. This came out in Genetic Apex. They knew already that we were gonna hate Magikarps. Victory Bell is interesting. I don't think this one's good. But mostly because it has the same problem as Gengar, which is that it has to be in the active spot. But who knows? And it's also a 2 energy, 2 retreat cost guy, so you can't like bring something into energy, bring something in, retreat, attack. Maybe it can combo with Superior, but I think that ship has sailed for this guy, and I think Pidgeot's better because of its ability to work on the bench. Like I said, I should mention Scolipede. It's cool that we finally got a like one thingy attacker. I think it's too slow still. I think that like the fact that you still need to poison people, so it's gonna still like take a few turns, and the damage is not that good anymore. So unfortunate for this guy. But we do have Togekiss. Togekiss is another one where I'm like, yeah, you can do your attack faster, but like kind of like it's okay. Dragonite is actually one that I will say is a bigger winner than you would think. It's actually in the same category as Charizard and Blastoise. Consistency is this card's problem, and this is a consistency card. So yeah, rev your Dragonites up, right? I think Dragonite low-key is still better than Wugtrio and the new Rayquaza EX. So just by virtue of being a 1-prizer, and now you have that consistency option, right? That gives it even more reason to use over Wugtrio. Magnezone is the biggest loser, easily. Like, Rare Candy does not work with Magnezone. At least this version of Magnezone, right? Because a lot of people love using Magneton, and what Magneton gives you, this Magnezone will never give you. So my thoughts are, obviously, you just don't Rare Candy into a Magnezone unless you're using Electric Energy. Big loser, for sure. But it's still a good Pokemon. Still a good card. Golem is another card that people are going to talk about. I don't think this one's good either, because it's like, obviously you can now get into it and you can block it, so it's like increase in consistency, but it's still even more cards, right? I think that's my problem with like Golem, Togekiss, Garchomp. These are all cards that like to get fully set up. Less so on Togekiss actually, but like more so on these guys to get their like damage ranges. They really want their supporter card. And if that's the case, especially for Golem, it's okay. Maybe they'll release another Golem where it's like, it's a 3 energy attacker. Even that like still like doesn't really need Brock, but like it's cool to have in the back, so you can set one up. You can Rare Candy one up, set it up, and have an attacker. So like it's still got technically a winner, but I wouldn't see this winning anything anytime soon. And of course, who doesn't love a little bit of theory crafting, right? Theory crafting is what makes card games move. So I already did a version of how a deck can look when we have cards like Rare Candy. This is a Rare Candy deck. This is how Meowscarada can look. I'll talk a little bit about it. You'll notice that I actually cut a Florigato. And the reason why you're allowed to cut a Florigato is because of Rare Candies acting as Florigato. In fact, the Rare Candy acts as a Florigato and the Kakuna. So while you're crying for help, it's a little bit more consistent. There are going to be people that are going to tell you to drop your, your stage 1s entirely. And there are some cases where you should, but that is not the universal thing. You should always, I think 2-1-2 is optimal going forward, but do not just drop it unless you have a really good reason to, right? Like this deck also gets Iono. Iono is really good with Rare Candy because Rare Candy is an item. So you can Iono, shuffle a big hand, draw the Rare Candy, draw the Meowscarada, and have like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Heart of the Cards moment as you Rare Candy into your win condition and win the game. It just sounds hype thinking about it. Like, how can you guys not be excited about that? Like I said, Beedrill and Meowscarada are the best. I do have another version of this that's like a kind of a unique concept in showing like how far you can take this concept, right? And that is right here. This is very much just take that same concept taken to the extreme. And you can flip the ratios, by the way. You can do 2 Sprigatito, 1 Weedle line. I chose to do this just to show you. Basically, if you start Sprigatito and you cry for help, you're going to be looking for that Meowscarada, right? If you start Weedle, you can multiply, and you're already thinning your deck that has so much thinning potential. And then all the Sprigatito really is there for is if you have the Meowscarada, you can actually play it on the bench and do it. Otherwise, this is mostly a Beedrill EX team, right? You're going to get this Beedrill, and you're going to turbo up 2 Beedrills. Otherwise, if you are able to and are lucky enough to get to that Meowscarada, you can do that. And that's because Sprigatito is going to thin your deck for your guys that you need. I think it's really cool. Like I said, you can flip the ratios. You can do a 1 Beedrill, 1 Weedle, and then you just do 2 Sprigatito, 2 Meowscarada, 1 Florigata. But again, you can do this. You can do this now, right? This is so cool. That's what I'm here for. I think it's so cool that you can do this. Finally, I think just showing you how the new look Charizard would be. As you can see, this is still the same list as you would expect and come to find. However, note that I have 1 Charmeleon, and that's for Pokemon communication consistency. Now you can find that Moltres easier if you don't start Moltres. You can find that Charmander easier, and you can find that Charizard, and rare candies will function as that Charmeleon, right? So when you're going late through your game and you're like trying to draw, trying to find, you do an Iono play, you can find that Charizard. I think that this is just like already playable day one of the format. All you need is those 2 rare candies. So it's so hype. And this is actually how I'd envision Solgaleo. If you guys don't know, Solgaleo is a 2 metal energy, deal 120. It's again 2 energy or lower, and you can bring it from the bench to the active immediately, right? Really cool. The Luxio and Shinx are obviously Cosmog and Cosmome respectively, and basically this deck utilizes Skarmory's aggro. You attack, or you can rare candy into Solgaleo immediately and just begin pumping damage. It's really cool. Maybe Solgaleo will have another metal partner, right? You can like try to use Adamant, etc. I'm excited. Maybe this is like an 18 trainers deck, right? Or like you can just run Cosmog, Cosmome, Solgaleo, and you have room for like Lily, like so many different cards, right? I don't know yet, but I think that Solgaleo is immediately 100 times more exciting when it has rare candy. This deck is New Look Fighting. So you'll notice that this is actually a single rare candy deck. When making the deck, right, I was like figuring out how can I slot in rare candy, and I think that the Crenidoses are still important for curve. This is a deck that really wants that like deal 70 sometimes, right? So I didn't think that we necessarily needed 2 rare candies, and rare candy is just like a consistency. How many times have you drawn Rampardos and be like, oh, if I had this Cranidos I would have won? Now you have a 3rd Cranidos in the rare candy. I think if you start treating rare candy as just the extra stage 1, you just think about it. It's a 20 card game. You're basically, if you're playing 2 of the stage 1, 2 of the rare candy, you're playing 4 of the stage 1. You're basically guaranteed to draw it, right? That's why it's consistency. I wouldn't run 4 in a 20 card game. That's why 3 is perfect. You guys are understanding where I'm coming from now. This is just like running the same list. No PCOM, because PCOM in a like 10 Pokemon list is already sus. Iono is so good. And you get to Sabrina Cyrus your way through a lot of games. If you get Rampardos set up early, you just win, right? Like you can, like rare candy into a 130 damage dealing Pokemon, boosted by Lucario's is just too much sauce. And finally, of course, I know a little bit of what you guys are here for is that Stokezard. This is a concept I wanted to bring up because I think double stage 2 are viable. I mentioned 18 trainers, or it'll be 16 trainers if you use Charizard EX. But I think it's cool that you are able to now put 2 stage 2s together and drop one of their middle guys, because rare candies are treated as the middle guys, right? I don't think that this deck list is essentially cooked enough, but this is the concept. You can take this concept and apply it to any deck that you want to try 2-stage 2s in, and that's just cool. I love this game so much. I love where it's going, and I think that we are finally entering the stage 2 era of Pokemon Pocket. And that's all I really have for today. I think that one of my thoughts is that, like, people are like, is this over? Is the Giratina Darkrai meta over? I don't know. I do not know. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that it's over. Like, Darkrai Giratina is dead. Darkrai Giratina is so strong due to its consistency. But we are finally getting more things that can deal with it, right? The way that Darkrai Giratina gets weaker is if cards are able to attack before Darkrai Giratina is set up. And this is one way. Cards are now able to attack before it's set up with Rare Candy, right? All of these cards. But who knows what the next set has, right? We barely have seen like 30 cards, maybe? So there's so many new cards that we're going to be able to see. It's going to be so exciting. I'm looking forward to it, and historically, the best deck in the format has gotten really worse with each set, right? Like, Dialga Arceus was everywhere in Triumphant Light, and now it's like nowhere. And then similarly, so who knows what happens to Darkrai Giratina, but I'm still excited. Pocket is changing forever, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Have a good one.